Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining this talk and I hope you are enjoying Platform Call. My name is Maryam Tavakkoli. I'm a cloud engineer at Relax Solutions and today we're going to explore the evolution of the internal developer platform that we have built in the company and talk about the lessons that we have learned during this journey. Before starting, I'll tell you shortly about myself and you can know better whose viewpoints are told in this story. As a cloud engineer, I am currently part of the platform team that we have at Relax, building this IDP that we're going to talk about in this talk. And before that, I've been a site reliability engineer in one of the developer teams in the company who are basically the users of this IDP. So what I'm going to talk about is just my viewpoints on the project and a mix of the experiences that I've had from using it for a short time and then collaborating in building it. A bit more about myself. I am based in Finland, Helsinki, and in my free time I write some tech articles in my Medium account and sharing my experiences there. So I'd be happy to get connected either there or on LinkedIn. And then a few words about Relax. Relax builds a software system which is a supply chain and retail planning platform that helps retailers to unify their planning from demand and merchandise to supply chain and operations. Here we have the agenda that we are going to talk about. First, we will look into the origins of the project, and we will see where the story began. Then we will review the initial stages of the project and what happened in the early days. Next up is chaos, and we will talk about what happened and what was the major incident. And after that, we will explore the growth period, and in the next section, we will explore the lessons that we have learned during the journey. Finally, we will sum up the talk with some takeaways. So, first about the origins. The project started in 2019. The scope of it could be defined as a simple project and definitely not a platform. And it was supposed to be some infra as code project for one of the developer teams within Relax, where they could define as many Kubernetes clusters as they wanted. And these were the requirements. And considering that there were no specific team or skilled people within the company to develop this, it was decided to hire some consultants to take care of it. And then we have the initial stages, the early days. So this is what happened after the start of the project in 2019 and in early 2020. Shortly after the start of the project, the scope of the project was changed. It was discovered that there are many other teams within Relax that have the same requirements. They all need an easy way to spin some Kubernetes cluster that has everything on it and everything comes out of the box. And they only take care of their containerization of their application and they want only a place to deploy it. So it was not supposed to be a small project anymore, but to be more like a platform. And consequently, the focus was also changed. It was not about one team anymore, but the whole company. So with such a status, the project was already in use and was already advertised as a few developer teams started using it. And at the same time, to make it work for such changes, strategies and plannings needed to be changed, and this happened on the go. And until then, Terraform was in use as the infra as code language. However, as soon as more teams started using it, it turned out that there are, with this coding structure, there are lots of repetitions among different environments. And it was suggested to use Terraground. Terraground is a team wrapper for Terraform that keeps the code dry while working with multiple Terraform modules. Then, moreover, the dynamic of the team working on this project was also changing. It was not really, though, like a proper team. There were only a few consultants who were going and coming, and it meant that there was no specific developer staying focused on the project for a long time. And then you can imagine what happened. Yes, we entered the chaos period. Maybe we already noticed the mistakes, but yeah, the scope and the focus was changed, but no adjustments happened on time regarding the team building and planning. And some of the users were already using such projects, so it was probably not a surprise that we encountered a major incident. A massive merge request related to the migration of service principals to Azure Managed Identity Service was merged. Maybe good to mention here that we have this ITP based on Azure Kubernetes Service. And it became a major incident, and the rebirth of change happened within 2 days. And at this point, we had unhappy users. And as a result, unfortunately, one of the teams decided to leave the project and build their own internal tooling. But the lesson was learned from this chaos, and some changes. We noticed that change in the perspective is required. And so we entered the golden growth period. Between 2021 and 2023, we had the growth period. The perspective was changed after the major incident. It was clear that we should consider such platform as a product, and developer teams should be considered as the customers. Also, resource allocation started happening, and a dedicated team started to form around the platform development. Also, it was understood that to unify all of the efforts for such product, a project manager is a must. And here we have the lessons that we have learned during this journey. First thing is feedback for building such a platform that many different developer teams with plenty of various requirements are using it. We needed quite good feedback gathering from our users, and it to be constant feedback gathering, and having a product manager helped a lot to achieve this. Next is standardization. DevOps knowledge might be missing in some of the developer teams usually, so it means a lot for our users, meaning developers, if we could make our procedures standard and they can make themselves familiar with it better that way. So we made our release processes quite standard and defined the release calendar and what is expected from users in each stage. We tried to make everything quite clear and visible. Another important factor is documentation. There are tons of features and configurations in such project, and categorized guidelines means a lot for our users. We started building a documentation hub where our users could find plenty of information about each part of the platform. Moreover, we published best practices and release blog posts, which were proved to be quite helpful for our users. And we noticed that this is the best way to have the knowledge sharing happen between the platform team and user or developer teams. The last one is training, developer training. We thought to have release demo sessions where we were explaining what features were happening in this release and what are the instructions to deploy this release version of IDP. Then there are also a few technical lessons learned that I think might be worth mentioning as well. First one is about preventing incidents in any way that you can. You should, for example, consider resource locks to prevent unwanted resource deletions, and soft delete policies, backup options wherever which is applicable. Next is cost optimization. It's an important topic in such platforms. You want to prevent any additional costs as much as possible. If first thing that you can do is to tag all the resources so that you can know which cost is coming from which part. And then we had some automation to stop the clusters in the non-working hours automatically, and then start those again in the working hours. You could do a similar thing since there is no reason for at least dev and staging clusters to be working 24 hours. Then security matters always. You would want to assign the least privilege that is required to the deployer service principals, assign access packages to users with limited accesses to only resources that they require. Also, we introduced standardized approaches for our security patching so that no security risk is accepted, and we can review the status at least constantly, maybe monthly. I'm sorry. The last one in this slide is semantic versioning. Well, the importance of this one is that everyone understands it. For example, for a period of time, we had it in other way, our versioning, and it was bringing confusion among developers, since most of the developer teams use it with semantic versioning. It also brings independence between different environments of users like dev and prod, and it brings autonomy for our users to deploy at any time and gradually move to deploying the latest release to production at their ease. Then another important point is testing. Continuous deployment testing based on master branch only is not enough for having releases, and consequent releases should also be tested against each other. And then the last one is separated repositories. We made separation between the environment configurations that users do and the core code of the platform to create the infra and the cloud resources. This brings segregation in accesses that users have and developers of IDB have, and also the deployer service principals could be segregated. So I want to conclude the talk with a couple of takeaways. First thing is that perspective is really important. We notice that we have to look at such platform as a product, and then the customers are the internal developers. Even though they are internal, it doesn't matter. For us, they are customers, and we should gather feedback from them and see what are their requirements constantly. And also internal team matters a lot. Like there should be a team with constantly present team members who know what's happening on the project for a longer period of time, and they can think of improvements and what's working and what's not. I want to finalize this talk with a quote that failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. And it's truly the same with the story that I told you. Being where we are today, having this ITP that works great for our users, is based on the mistakes and failures that has happened, and I hope that our journey's story could help you your future experiences. And with that, thanks a lot for being here, joining this talk. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. You can reach me out on my email address or LinkedIn or Medium. Thank you. Have a nice time.